And welcome to her Empire Builder show. If you've ever looked at Google Ads and thought, that looks way too complicated for me, today's episode is going to change everything you thought you knew about Google paid traffic ads or that you don't know. So for me, I have never actually placed a Google ad. And so a lot of the questions that I am asking our guests today are kind of selfish in a way of going, all right, I know nothing. Tell me everything that I need to know about Google Ads. It's technical, it's informative, and it's fabulous. So I am joined by Aaron Young, who is the founder of the Define Digital Academy, who's made it his mission to make Google Ads simple, effective, and, believe it or not, actually fun. Through his practical, no jargon approach, Aaron helps course creators get their programs in front of the right people at the right time without having to dance on Instagram every day or rely on Facebook ads that keep shifting the goalposts. So in this episode, we're going to dive into how Google Ads can quietly and powerfully fuel your launches and your evergreen funnels, what you need in place before you spend a single cent so that you can make sure you're giving your ads the best chance of success, and the exact strategies that Aaron recommends for course creators who want to scale with smart, intentional advertising. So whether you are completely new to Google Ads or looking to level up, this episode is packed with clarity, calm, and real strategy. Let's get into it. Aaron Young, welcome to her Empire Builder show.
Thank you so much for having me, Tina.
You. So it's always really tricky when I do this because I want to ask you all about Google Ads, which is what you're great at, but you've built the most exceptional YouTube channel. You've built an incredible online business in the last couple of years. So I could ask you about 50 gazillion things, but we're going to focus on the Google Ads because selfishly, I have never placed a Google ad.
Well, let's, we can fix that hopefully by the end of today.
I know, I have a feeling we might. So to give us a little bit of foundation, what drew you into the wonderful world of Google Ads and how come out of all of the different things that you have done, this is the thing that you have made your mission to teach others?
Yeah, so I didn't intentionally get into Google Ads, which I think sometimes is probably the best discovery. So we started our own business in 2010. We hired what we thought was a good digital agency, and we got 0 leads after 3 months. I would have been happy for spammy leads, but we just got 0 leads.
Wow.
Yeah. But because it was our money, our initial capital, and we had without getting too technical, we basically had a year to, generate enough sales to prove the proof of concept. But there was a risk there. So I thought, well, if we've got money on the line, I need to take control of this and I need to take ownership of it. And a friend told me about Google Ads because this Google Ads, paid ads only started in 2006. So this was really, really early.
Yeah.
And then, as they say, the rest is history. We obviously got enough leads to build that business. At that time, we were living overseas in Bali, and I ended up finding out these weird things that our Google Ads our campaign was outperforming big industry leaders in the space. So then started getting some consulting clients.
You were like, what am I doing that's so good? I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of one of those unknown things that I discovered, this thing that I was good at. And I put a lot of effort into it. Obviously, when you're building a business, we had 3 young kids at that stage. So it was, early mornings, late nights. And at that stage, there wasn't really as many YouTube channels about it. It was all reading into blogs, just looking at their own data. And then from about 2015, we still have that original business, but I'm out of the day-to-day. We sort of just with an ownership stake in that now. And we then started consulting to different digital agencies as the head of digital and just went into the world of Google Ads. And then, as I'm sure we'll get to soon, we then switched over and made a pivot to teaching other people Google Ads.
Yeah. So I know a lot of people that I work with especially are overwhelmed by paid ads or exactly as you said, really fearful of I'm going to put all this money in and not get the return back. Yeah. And I hear it especially with Google Ads. It seems a little bit more mystical than Meta ads, for example. Why do you think that is, and how do you help people move past the fear in that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest misconceptions with Google Ads, and I get where it comes from because I could set up a Google Ads campaign for you now. And, within 3 or 4 hours, you'd start seeing your ads and people would go, well, I can see what they're searching. They're clicking on my ad. They're going to the website. Why no sales?
Yeah.
whereas I think with Meta, people kind of understand that there's going to be time, like you need to do some testing, and that is still true for Google. So the thing that I really communicate to people is that for a successful Google Ads campaign, you actually need 3 core elements. You need a good Google Ads campaign, like I'm not going to deny. You need the right settings, you need the right ad copy, you need those things happening. But you also need a landing page that converts, and you also need an offer that converts. And one of the biggest things that I guess try to communicate to people is that Google Ads only magnifies what you're currently seeing in your business.
Yeah.
So I kind of give people the picture of it's you throwing petrol on a fire. If you could think about like the timber or the wood, that's your services, your products. The flame is your sales and your systems. So then if you start bringing that back, you throw fuel on wood with no flame, you've just got wood with petrol on it. If it's a little spark, you put the spark out. But if you've got like a consistent fire going and you put petrol on it, that's where...
I think that's the same with any advertising.
Exactly right.
Really, yeah.
And for some reason, I think it's because Google is more specific and you've got a whole nother realm of data reporting. People go, I can see the keywords, so they're typing in the right keywords. It looks relevant, but then it's not converting.
Yeah.
But so people understand that you still need, so we would generally say when you're starting Google Ads, after the first 30 days, if you can be just getting 1 or 2 conversions, you're doing great.
Yeah.
Potentially not even profitable. By week 6, 7 or 8, if we can start, breaking even, great. And then after that 90-day mark, we look to go, we've got a really good solid platform. Now we can start to scale and now we can start to really invest. But a lot of people don't have that patience for the first 3 months.
Yeah, okay. What do you think is one of the myths or misconceptions about Google Ads that course creators need to let go of to get started running Google Ad campaigns?
Yeah. Probably one of the biggest, and this is probably moving into a bit more of a strategy, is thinking that,
strategy?
thinking that they have to go for the kill straight away, and really going, well, if there's search, let's just pick any niche.
By that, you mean going straight for the sale rather than building a reputation? Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially in the realm of course creators, if you're going to go shopping online for, so let's just say I'm just looking at my iPhone, like a new iPhone case. Fundamentally, we know what that is. We know what we're going to be getting. And so there's a lot more confidence there. But when we're especially dealing with course creators and knowledge, people are a little bit more skeptical because there's just nothing they can touch and nothing can feel. So especially if they're picked up, like the first time they've heard of you from a paid ad, is the introduction may be there, but they may want to see some proof of work. So, that's where things like your social media posts, educational content on YouTube comes into place. So with course creators, it does throw in another layer of, if you're reaching these people like completely cold, you've got to warm them up. So a lot of people go straight for the kill. So that's probably one of the things that I would say why course creators don't see success with Google Ads.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's tempting. Like I know whenever I've started ads, you always want a result straight away.
Yeah.
But if you go in knowing the long game and going, these are the expectations that we can set, I think that's a lot easier.
Also, too, technically, things people got to remember too, just with the attribution. Now, I'm trying not to get too technical too early, but one thing you do need to remember that's different for Google Ads to say like a Meta style campaign is if someone clicks on their ad on your ad today, but then they don't convert for 45 days from now, some of that attribution still goes back to the first click. So your Google Ads campaign can actually look better after time. So generally when I'm saying when you're going into your Google Ads dashboard, I really don't put any importance on the data over the last 14 days.
Yeah.
So it's more sometimes I say, just wait, because what's looking bad now, a month from now, might actually look really, really good.
Yeah. Okay. And so you brought in some Meta there, some Facebook and Instagram. So they're definitely they're the most common. They're the common ones that I hear nearly every course creator going, yep, we do Meta ads.
Yeah.
Where does Google Ads differ? Do you think you should have both of them in your product mix? Does it get a different sort of a result? Talk to us about the difference between them.
So really up front, I'm not dogmatic about any type of platform. You kind of get the people who are like, I'm all Facebook.
The only one.
I believe that it makes sense for a course creator to maybe focus in one area to start.
Yeah.
But then eventually, if they want to scale, they're going to have to branch out. So, so a couple of things I would say with Google Ads is that especially when you're talking about your more traditional style of campaigns, which is like your search campaigns, they are like, that's going to be a lot more expensive than a meta style ad, because if someone's like searching in like, course for, I don't know, got a blank, of course for YouTube production or whatever.
Yeah.
That's going to be a really, really super high intent keyword. So it's going to be potentially, you could be paying $20, $25, $30 for that click. So especially if you've got a small budget, you can see a budget gets eaten up really, really quickly. So generally what I would say for course creators is that in a lot of niches, that's not the keyword you want to be going for. You want to basically be treating it a little bit more like what you do in a meta style campaign. Is it's more warming up the audience, educating. You can definitely allocate some keyword budgets for high intent keywords. But the thing I do like with Google now is that this is really, really rapidly changing. There's actually a new campaign, a type called Demand Gen, which is closer to a meta style campaign than it is to a Google Ads campaign. So there's no keyword targeting in it. It doesn't even appear on the search network. It only appears out on YouTube, the display network, and Gmail. So it's all image and video based. And especially
do they find that based on audience over keyword?
Yeah. So the great thing is that what you can do here inside your Google Ads account is you can even, as a course creator, you could download your paying customers, upload that list into Google Ads, and create that as your seed list.
Right. And it finds people like that.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So then what I say, especially for course creators, is a strategy that we're doing ourselves now since this has come out, is that we are running a search campaign underneath that. So we're saying we only want the search campaign to target people who have specifically seen one of my YouTube videos or one of my display video ads. And I think that's a really cool difference with Google Ads, is that you can actually really block it in, and you can say, especially with your search campaigns, you've got to have gone to my website for your ad to trigger your Google search.
Yeah.
Or you could do the reverse and go, I don't want people who've been to our website to see this ad.
Okay. Is it as complex as it sounds?
No, I would say, okay. So I would say in terms of usability, I actually find the Google Ads dashboard a lot easier to use than Facebook.
I find them both confusing.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I would say with that is, now, obviously, I've got a bias towards Google Ads because I've used that dashboard,
Yeah, you used to
the last 15 years. But even up until about 26, there was about a 5-year period where I was like, I'm now fully only Google Ads, but there's about a 5-year period was between the two. And I always found Google Ads just a more easier platform to use.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I do like, I think you've got to understand kind of the platform and how it works, but I do definitely find that and Google is making this a lot easier. The downside with it being easier is that they are opting you into a lot of settings which are probably not beneficial for you.
Yeah, okay. Now, I know you have great funnels. When you talk about your funnels, I get excited with how you use those. So for people, Aaron's using a combination of Kajabi and Deadline funnels to run these. But what kind of funnel or website setup do you recommend people need before doing the Google Ads program and figuring out like how to actually get started with Google Ads? What do you need as the foundation?
And I'm taking this into context, especially if you're potentially only doing, you might just be doing 6 figures or under 6 figures. Like if you don't have a massive budget to throw at Google Ads. So let's look
when we look at statistics, most business owners are earning around that $100,000 mark in Kajabi.
Yeah. So you'd be then looking back there going, potentially dipping their toe into Google Ads. It may even be under $1,000 a month in terms of actual ad spend, potentially a lot less than that. So in that case, what I'd be looking at is not actually going for the sale, going for qualified leads. And this is what I did for the first, once we knew that our funnel was working, our paid ads campaign was actually built around purely just getting people to sign up to my database, because I had data offline that I know if I get people onto my database, we've got a really good chance of converting them. So we purely just went for ads going to a lead magnet.
Yep.
And then if you know your average cost per conversion, you can then scale it from there. For us, just because of our price points and our conversion metrics, we knew that once we had a cost per lead of $15, now that may seem higher for some people, but for our business, that's where it worked.
Yeah.
We knew that we could scale it, and that's what we did. And that was giving us an extra, 250 to 300 leads into our database a month. And that's what we did for the first, we didn't start Google Ads for the first 6 months because we're doing some testing, but then for the next 12 to 18 months, we had no direct sales component. Now we did have some, like when we took the funnel, we had some little funky like tripwires and those things in there. And purely for me, I was going, as long as Google Ads is even cost neutral, but it's giving us high quality leads, I'm happy to use that to scale my business.
Yeah, nice. So when you have your Kajabi end set up, have you got any different with the lead magnet funnel for, say, Meta Ads to Google Ads?
Yeah. So what we do is that we just create a duplicate landing, like a duplicate opt-in page with a duplicate form. So we actually have a form
so that you can track it.
Yeah, that's tagged Google Ads. So now I can go into my contacts list inside of Kajabi and just go, they've filled out this form, and that's the way that I track it. And we've, I think over time, I actually did over the weekend, it was something like 8,500 leads are coming from Google Ads. And some of those clients have spent
That's bigger than my entire database.
Yeah.
You got over the weekend.
Oh, no, it didn't happen over the weekend. Like I checked the data. Yeah.
Right.
Wish I was doing that, but no.
Yeah, I was like, what were you doing there, Aaron?
Yeah. But over time, so over a 18-month period, we built up an extra database of 8,000 people. And some of those people have spent like $20,000 in our coaching. But the first contact was Google Ads. Now the average is down at about $500 to $1,000, but that was an easy way for us to see without getting technical with the tracking. Going in Kajabi, people have filled out this form. What's their lifetime value? And that's the way that we did it.
So you mentioned before that they've got a new thing that's coming into YouTube. I'll try and get it right. You said YouTube, you said other different places. Is that in answer to AI coming in? Because I have seen that a lot of people are searching less in the Google interface because they're searching on ChatGPT, for example. What are the adaptations that you're seeing coming in already? And is it still growing? Yeah.
So there has been some people who are out like going, this is going to be the end of Google search and those type of things. There's a lot happening in this space. The Google has changed fundamentally how it does its keyword targeting. Historically, it used to be like, let's just say course creation for
women in Australia.
Yeah. You could actually say it has to be that exact keyword in that order, whereas now it actually targets the meaning of the keyword.
Yeah, nice.
So what that has meant, and it also takes into account the landing page as well. So what that's really meant is search terms are a lot broader now than what they used to be. And this comes back to search is going more conversational. Right now, as we sit, Google released data last year that 15% of all searches that occur in Google are brand new in that they've never searched before. There's also another trend that search terms with over 5 words in them are growing by, I think it was 150%.
Really?
Yeah. And this is all becoming to conversational. So Google is about to release Gemini. You're already seeing, the AI generated responses in search.
Yep.
That's going to be supercharged to where it's effectively going to operate like a ChatGPT or whatever you want, Perplexity, whichever tool you want to use. Yeah. So your search terms, your paid ads will be embedded into the conversation response.
Yeah, nice. And do you do YouTube ads as well?
Yeah.
And is that the Google Ads platform that goes into YouTube?
And that's what people don't realize is that, so people are going, Google search is going to die. It's just going to move across to YouTube. So, and what a lot of people don't realize too, when you look at, like when we start playing the game of YouTube versus, say, the social media platforms.
Everything that I'm reading, YouTube is just kicking its butt.
Oh, totally. So 90% of users say they discover new brands and products on YouTube. Users spend an average of 23 hours per month on YouTube. And the big brands are actually also, I would say too, for course creators at the moment, your cheapest traffic you're going to find is on YouTube. Because obviously CPCs are increasing in Instagram searches, but YouTube is at the moment I think it's going to change over the next 18 months to 2 years, but there is a real opportunity to really go in and really test YouTube, get your creatives right. The great thing I find, especially at the moment with YouTube, is that when you look at ads on the Shorts platform, your ad could effectively be, our best performing ad at the moment is a testimonial. So no editing. It's a testimonial from a client. I then did a clip of like 10 seconds after me of, this is our offer. Really, really simple, natural content, like user testimonials are performing super, super well.
And how much, like when you're doing YouTube ads, how much can you drill down into where you want that ad placed?
Yeah. Okay. Now, this is a fine balance because the more targeting, the higher the expense.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, I could set up a campaign and go, I want these ads to appear on at your Tina's channel, or I want these ads to appear on this video of Tina's. So
you can even get specific with the video of someone else's video.
Yeah.
So you could put like your promo on a competitor's video.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be cheeky.
Yeah. And now, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
Because you're specific saying it, but yes, that's how granular you can get.
Can you stop people from doing that if someone put an ad
on
the
way
video
you
that you didn't?
That is that you could turn your YouTube video off to turn it off for ads.
Okay.
But then you're demonetizing your video. So then it's kind of like, it's creators they want, if they've got a YouTube channel. One of the great things about a YouTube channel is obviously you can get monetized for your content.
Yeah.
You turn that off, you're not getting the ads. People aren't targeting it, but then you're not getting the payment for it.
So I'm going to digress a little bit here off our topic, but because you're a superstar YouTube creator also, because you want people buying your things, you don't necessarily want them buying other people's things. Do you have ads turned off in your videos because you don't need them?
I turn on the monetization because
you do?
Fundamentally I turn on the monetization because
so people have ads at the start.
Yeah. So, because if you think about it from there as well, if they're coming to see my ad, see my video, and they see Tina's video, they're like, well, hang on, I came to see Aaron. So that's what I'm saying. It's great that you can do that, but it's actually a hard sell.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So
because I would think turn ads off on my videos so people just get straight into the video.
I just think people are starting to, people are accepting that. If they go to YouTube, YouTube membership is actually growing as well. So people are now choosing just to, pay I think it's $20 a month now for a
and there's a subscription for everything.
And then there's no more ads. So, so it really does come into it. Like as I said, we've never turned off monetization and we haven't seen any issue, we haven't seen any issue at all with our YouTube growth.
Yeah. Okay. So you touched on money a little bit earlier, but if we were getting started, what's a realistic monthly ad spend for a course creator who'd just be starting out, say they're making $200,000 a year in their business? What is the realistic ad spend and how long, would you give it a 3-month runway before you looked for results? What to set up people's realistic expectations for that?
So definitely I'd give it at least 3 months. So you'd be looking at your investment lasting 3 months. And don't make any decisions, 2 weeks in or 3 weeks in, because I would say 80 to 90% of the time, the results are not going to be pretty. So they're not going to be what you want.
But you've got to have faith, play the long game.
You do. And the great thing I look at with course creators as well, is that generally if we get 1 or 2 sales, it can make those previous 6 weeks look amazing. So that's the other thing where you go, depending on your business.
Why is it a long lead time? Because I will look at, say we do an Instagram ad, for example, I'll leave it 24 hours. And if it's not clicking through, I know it's crap and I'm going to take it off and I'm going to replace it with some better creative in there.
Yeah.
What makes it, why is that different?
Yeah. So I think some of the difference does come down to, especially if you're doing a high intent audience. So when we look at Facebook and Meta, so you are starting a new ad that's only 24 hours old, but you've already got ingrained an audience that the Meta platform knows about.
Yeah, right.
So it's looking at who's already engaging with your content, and I'm going to go out from there. Whereas if you're going with a search campaign, it's purely it's just looking at who is doing these searches, and then because those searches if they're high converting, you've got other people bidding on those same search terms.
So are there early indicators to figure out, because I mean, the worst thing would be to go 3 months and go, oh, it didn't come to fruition. I didn't know it was a crap funnel.
Yeah. So the early indicators for me would be firstly time on the page. So we're looking at, like, if you're going to run Google ads, I would say make sure you've got Google Analytics running on your website. Yes. So that way you can go across, and I'm going, if people are coming from my paid ad and they're not spending 30 seconds on my page, there's a misconnect with them when they're going across. If you've got, depends on how technical you want to get in your funnels, but like in Kajabi, I can see all of my emails. I can see the open rates for the different emails. So then I'm going, this is the email which is not cutting it. So I need to change that.
Yeah.
So you need to go through it from that way. But getting back to what you ask in terms of budgets, with Google Ads, I generally reverse engineer it. What I mean by that is that you want to be getting at least 10 clicks. If you're running a search campaign, you want to be getting at least 10 clicks a day. So then that comes back to what's your average CPC. So, and you can do that if you do a keyword research and you see that your average CPC is going to be $1, you then know that we need to be having a budget of at least $10 a day in order to make it work. Yeah. If you're in a niche which has a really, really high CPC, so let's just say your CPC may be somewhere around the $20, and you go, I don't have $200 a day. What I would then do is I would actually not start with search, and I would start with a video campaign, and then a display, like an image-based campaign, to then retarget the people that have been on my website. And you're going to get a much, much cheaper, high value. So with that, I would go, most course creators could get away with, $20 to $30 a day. And I'd split it, $10 YouTube, $10 display.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so everything that you just talked about there, I'm like, that sounds great.
Yeah.
No idea how to do any of that.
Yeah.
So you made the switch 3 years ago from agency into running courses, and did one of the rare things in that most people in your position would teach other agencies how to run ads, but you've gone in to teach business owners, which I love, because business owners for the win. Yeah. Can you tell us about that transition and how you actually teach business owners like us?
Yeah. So it really came from, so as I said, I started my own business into Google Ads, and then I went into, I was head of digital for 3 different agencies at one stage. I was white labeling to them. And this is running, massive campaigns for everything from, Suzuki Australia to Swiss to UniSuper. So big budgets. And
what do you think you did at that stage that was different to what a lot of people were doing? Like, why did you get so successful with it so quickly?
Oh, I mean, because with me, I was then moving through with an agency. So it was very much like I wasn't going out and getting those clients. It was the agency getting the clients. But I think
But you were getting the results with the
ad. I think I got up to the position of head of digital so quickly because I was able to connect with the agency owner as a business owner.
Yeah, right.
So I was able to very, very attunely know. So when I looked at Google Ads, I've always looked through the prism of, like, if someone comes in from a marketing background or no real other background, they look at, like, for you and me, when we do any types of Google Ads, any type of advertising, we're not really as concerned about the results in the ads advertising platform. We're more looking at what's happening at the business bottom line.
Yeah.
So that's what I just communicated all the way through to, and that's how, even though I wasn't the initial one getting those clients, I was in the meetings, getting them across the line. And that's because I was able to have that connection. Anyway, we were just about to start our own full service agency and just follow that well-trodden path. And then the great thing happened in 2020, which we won't mention, but we all know what happened. And we lost 70%. So we had, not only were we white labeling 2 different digital agencies, we also had a collection of about 25 direct clients. So we lost 70% of our direct clients, and all of our agencies lost 70% of their direct clients. So it just made me look back and really, really think about, and I had to look at, I had a long time because I had nothing else to do, where I was really thinking about, and then I just really looked fundamentally and going, I knew the digital agencies, their business model. I knew how much their staffing was. I knew how much their revenue was. And then I took a look at it and go, with my 20 to 25 clients, I was actually earning more than the directors of the business that had a lot less expenses. And then I also dug down further on it, and I looked back at the clients that I enjoyed the most weren't the big Swiss multivitamins and the Suzukis, because ultimately I was dealing with marketing managers who it's not their money. They don't really care. It's not that they didn't care, but it wasn't there was the
It doesn't hit the same. Yeah.
Exactly right. Some of my favorite clients were the small local business. Like I remember, as an example, I set up a business for a skip bin, like completely not sexy company. Like they're picking up waste from people's. We started their campaign. They got 4 calls that afternoon. And just the joy in this he was a young guy, young family starting his first business. Just the joy in that this is making my dream come true. And then it made me rewind back to, when I first started getting my first, inquiries coming through, and then it led to a sale. And then I went, there's a real need in the market for this, because digital agencies are great. So I don't want to sound like I'm giving them a bad rap, but just the mechanics of a digital agency. If you're a small, course creator, and you're paying a digital agency a management fee of $1,000, and they've got, larger businesses that are paying management fees of $25,000 to $50,000 just in management fees, where's the priority going to be?
Yeah.
And that's where it came down to. And I just went, and it's also understanding that for success with Google Ads, you actually need to know 2 things. You need to know not only how Google Ads works, but you need to know how the business works. So I went, well, a business owner knows how the business works. If we can give them some knowledge on how Google Ads works, because it's not, and especially for a course creator, I would say as well, is that course creators are problem solvers in that, they learn, many of us didn't know how to set up a funnel before. We didn't know how to set up Kajabi or whatever platform. So they intuitively, Google Ads isn't as scary as it needs to be.
Yeah.
We just walk them through the process of setting it up.
And so what does your office suite look like now from a business point of view? What have you built?
Yeah, so in terms of our actual courses and our model, So we have like a little introductory course.
I know that has nothing to do with Google Ads, but I love from a course creator point of view.
So we have a little introductory course, which isn't offered publicly. It's just a little tripwire product as part of our deadline funnel, which is $49, and that's just a collection of. It works hand in hand with one of my checklists. So I've got a checklist which gives you everything you need to do to optimize your campaigns.
We link to that in the
we definitely can. We will. And then that takes them over to an option to buy a video, buy a course, which has so of all of those 50 different things you need to do, it's actually me doing a screen share of this is how you complete task 1.
Nice.
This is how you complete your task 2. Then we've got a full course, which is $899. And that's like 12 hours of teaching you, real basics. I try not to get too in depth, but a core understanding of how the algorithm works, how to write ad copy. Then it takes you through all the different types of campaigns, how to set the campaigns. And then it goes all the way through to these are the account structures that I use. And I've even got one coming up for course creators, like a structure that a course creator can use.
Perfect.
And it even goes down into you need to start this campaign where you're getting this results and this. So it's really step by step. So that's the course suite. We've also got a paid community, which is a $99 a month. That's got think of it it's on Kajabi community. So it's got a feed. There's also a week.
Are you liking Kajabi communities?
Yeah, it took me a little while to get used to. I do like it. I think since the new update, and it has been good.
Do you find engagement you can get over there instead of?
Yeah. So the one thing that really helped us with the engagement is we now run weekly live calls
Through communities.
Yeah, through communities, and that's really increased the engagement. I run 2 of them, and then 2 of my other guys run them. And then there's also I release a masterclass every month. And then on top of that, we've got an advanced coaching program, which is at $5,000 a month. And that's really for businesses who are, thinking of, rather than getting an agency, they want to do something in-house. And really, you're going to be spending about 20 to 25K a month to make that worthwhile. But everything that we've got between there gives you all of the tools to get up to that stage.
Nice. And so the question that I like to finish for everybody on is, as a course creator, what does success look like for you? Where are you heading with your business at the moment?
So for me, success is purely about, I really got, as I sort of mentioned to you before, we had the option of setting up our own digital agency or connecting with business owners and helping business owners. And for me, that's what success is. It's really just helping as many business owners as possible with their Google Ads. Now, obviously a layer below that, I'm a dad with three teenage daughters. So there's also that side of it as well, is that this is a real happy medium where I'm actually able to help more people than I ever was able to, but I'm actually more present and more available for my own family. We now unashamedly only work 4 days a week. We take as many holidays as we can. And so that's, I guess, probably the full.
It's the greatest business model ever.
It is.
Really is.
It is. I just wish I'd discovered this business model before I lost all of my hair.
Why?
Just being a digital agency owner for a little while, and working because when I was working in agency setting, I was pushing, really, really a lot of hours in the week.
Yeah.
Look, I probably would have lost my hair anyway, but
I mean, they say if it's gonna go, it's gonna go.
It is.
That's it. And you've got the beard going on now, which, a lot of men admire the man beard, I have learnt.
Yeah. I'm just working with the cards I was dealt with, Tina.
That's all any of us can do. And so on that topic, because you've built a lot of your brand through YouTube as well. Yes. Like you've done Google Ads, you've built YouTube. Is there, I know we're not talking about the whole of YouTube. No. We've got to wrap up eventually as well. But is there some pearl of wisdom that you could impart on people for the organic YouTube strategy in there as well?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say this for regardless of what platform you're using, whether it's a paid or organic platform. So whether it's YouTube, whether it's Google Ads, whether it's organic social media, or whether it's paid social media, is work out what the platform wants and then create content or create ads for that. So let me give you a perfect example. For Google Ads, they want clicks. So what I went is if I can create campaigns that generate more clicks, because that's where Google gets paid, I'm going to get an unfair advantage with the algorithm. And as long as my backup sales data is working, my funnels are working, I'm going to see success. With YouTube, that's the same process. I looked at it. I said, what does YouTube want? YouTube wants time on the platform because that's how they get paid. They get paid by creating videos that keep people engaged for longer. So I really, if anyone's looking at getting started with YouTube, I go, the three core measurements that you really want to be guided by is your click-through ratio. So I'll explain it, is obviously how many people see your thumbnail versus how many people click on your video. That needs to be high.
Right.
Generally, I want that to be above 10% in the first 24 hours of releasing a video. So then it averages down to 5%. You also need a watch duration of about, you can pass with 35%, but ideally you want 50% watch duration. And you need a watch time of at least 4 minutes. So when you put these three things together, you go, what I'm looking for is when I create a video, I want a thumbnail that has a video of 10% in the first 24 hours. I want a watch time of 4 minutes, and I want to get 50%. So that's why all my videos are between 8 to 12 minutes.
Yeah, right. Good tip.
So you start working backwards from there.
Yeah, good tip. We might have to do another whole episode at a later date on YouTube strategy as well. I have just started putting the podcast on YouTube and getting into YouTube. So it's like selfish questions from me.
Podcasting on YouTube is slightly a little bit different because generally your podcasts are going to be longer. So I would look then from there, but I would so you generally do think about your when you look at the structure of the video is what you do want to get is when people click on your video, you want to meet that expectation of why they're watching your video straight away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see a lot of people when they do, move a podcast across to YouTube, they get rid of the introduction.
Yeah, we've just had to do that.
Yeah. It's also why you see a lot of the times too is they'll put a clip, the real spicy clip from the
at the front.
At the front.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you may even get people who get on and actually do a quick introduction saying, this is the problems that we're going to address. And so you kind of need to, and what you need to be thinking about is with YouTube is you want to be really giving people a reason to watch your video.
Yeah.
So you want to give them the confidence in the first 10 seconds that they're at the right place, which is why you don't do a video introduction.
Yeah.
You also want to let them know that once they've clicked on your video that you are going to deliver on those answers. So when I create a video, I'm always looking at, this is the problem. And this is the solution I'm going to give you. And then I do make sure that I really do give them the solution.
Yeah, nice. Well, everything that you have talked about, we will link to in the show notes so that people can grab all the goods and get started with Google Ads. I'm curious. I want to get it and see if I can make it work and have a little play, because there's always new different things to unlock. And I think, especially if people aren't all gravitating there at one time, there's advantages to that as well.
And the other thing I'd really say too, for anyone who's doing current ads on Meta, is demand gen is like we're just moving assets that people are using on Meta, so taking your best performing like videos and best performing ads and just moving that over to demand gen and seeing great results.
Perfect.
So
all right.
You don't have to recreate anything.
Nice. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tina.